Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, and welcome to All Hands on Deck. We're so excited to greet you on another Tuesday afternoon as we talk about the many plethora and myriad of issues that we face in our urban communities. I'm Reverend Ira J. Acree. I'm your host, and I'm here representing my show and representing GSJ Family Life Center. We're located at 1256 North on Waller Avenue. The phone number is 773-378-3300, 773-378-3300. And while I'm talking about GSJ Family Life Center, let me just let you know that each Wednesday, we have the Chicago Cook Workforce Development meeting and convening at our church between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 noon every Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. We will have people on site, professionals, preparing people for resumes and giving them interview coaching, just getting them ready for the workforce development. In fact, so many people have already received some job leads, job referrals, and job acquisitions. All right. That's what's going on at Greater St. John. So please tell somebody about that. People saying they're looking for jobs. If you're looking for jobs, if you're looking to get prepared to go interview, you need to be on the west side in the northwest Austin community, northwest side in the Austin community. Well, today we have a great guest with us, a young lady. I met her when she was at another civil rights organization, Community Renewal Society. But now she is with an organization that is on the cutting edge like never before. It's called Live Free, and her name is Ciera Walker. Ciera, welcome to All Hands on Deck.
Thank you.
And now tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your history. What makes you be the prime time person to lead a mission of such? Talking about creating a self-determined black community through building economic and political power through the black church, rooted in the principles of black liberation theology. Wow. We're going to learn a lot about that, but let the audience find out a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I would say ministry is the first calling to this. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the Inglewood community, and I later moved to the south. And so there's always, I guess, that thing of the racial tension existed from, of course, living in Chicago and then going to the south. So that sort of stirred something up on the inside. But then, as I say, it was always a call of ministry. So now I'm able to merge my values of ministry and justice together, which again, many of those would say that that's one. But doing the work of ministry and justice is something that I'm called to do. So I'm very excited that I have the opportunity to lead Live Free Chicago.
All right. It's Live Free.
Yes, Live Free.
All right. Live Free. We have a caller already. Caller, welcome to the show. You are on All Hands on Deck with Ira, Acree, and Ciera.
Great show as always.
Thank
Great
you.
show as always. But the thing is, you get up there, Reverend, and talk, and you talk good stuff for this young lady. But nothing's going to change, and I'm going to tell you why. There's three major constructions going on right now, and there's not one African American, not one Hispanic construction company on there.
Sure.
Now you got the tokens, males. But you talk, and that's going to be done until the only way we're going to do it is change the people that are in office right now.
All right. Thank you so much. We got to get to another caller. You want to respond to that? He's saying there are certain construction sites going on right now, and there are no blacks and no Hispanics on it. Is this a job or an assignment that your organization looks into?
Yes. So again, as you mentioned in our mission, is about building economic and political power. So he mentioned that until we change the people that are in office, we will have to make sure that we're holding the people in the office accountable to the resources and to the opportunities that we have in our community. And the only way we do that is through building the power of the people.
Now, I notice this organization is saying we're going to do it through the church. Now, you already know, I know that the church, when it's strong, the church is independent of political powers. But nowadays, there's so many churches that have been co-opted rather, by political leaders. Let me tell you, I remember when I was growing up, I remember hearing one of the old deacons at my church. And I didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense to me. But one of the old deacons, he jumped up and he said, the pastor need a raise. And I'm thinking, first of all, I was young. I didn't even know ministers got paid. you know. But anyway, pastor need a raise. He needs to get paid really, really good. And he said the reason he needs to get paid really good is because we don't want him having to depend upon Pharaoh or Caesar to eat. We want to keep him free. If he's drawing his check from us, he'll represent us. If he's got to go downtown to Daily to represent Daily, to fight or get his money from Daily, he's going to have to, in other words, speak up for Daily. Daily is going to own him. He's ours. That make any sense to you?
Yes and no.
Okay, give me your feedback.
So I do understand where the concept of if we...
The bottom line, he's saying we got to make sure that the preacher is free.
Yes.
Right.
Meaning that there are preachers that are being paid off by elected officials because the elected officials are smart, because they do understand. Like if you notice, if there's a major scandal, what takes place is the elected officials, they go and they get some black preachers to stand behind them because they know that this is how you smooth it over in the black community. So they're smart.
And that used to work, but then you're dealing with now there's an anti-church sentiment out there. The church leaders, that's why I'm glad that you're trying to empower the church and use the power of the church, but the church has a responsibility to be a leader, but the church does not have the influence we used to have. So I said, I kind of feel sorry for you. If you came in about 30 years ago, you came when the church had a nice reputation, but there's so many people that hate preachers, and especially black preachers. Some black people love to follow a white preacher than to follow a black preacher because the self-hate is so real. It's so real.
You know, I guess I'll say this, like a story comes to my head in the scriptures where Elijah said, God, I got all of these false prophets around me. I'm the only one left that's speaking the truth. But then God said, hold on a second, because I got I have some prophets that's in the mountains. You didn't know about those. So I do believe that we have to know that there are some pastors that are still on the right side and are still fighting.
No, I know you believe that. I know you believe that.
And so that's to the people to say that they're still out here. So what we're doing at Live Free is that we're going to gather up all of those who are still on the side of justice and on what's right. And we're going to work with those. So they're out there, and we're going to organize all of you together, and we're going to do some great work in Chicago.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I get your point. You're not trying to convince me.
Right. I'm trying to tell them. They're still out there.
That there's a remnant that we need to collaborate with. And we certainly need all hands on deck. We cannot make it with just politicians. We need everybody. We need the faith community. We need business leaders. We need family. We need schools. We need the police department. When you find a community that's in disarray like ours, it's not because of one entity. It's going to take major collaboration from multiple institutions. You are welcome to join us at 312-738-1060 here at CAN TV Studio. I love your mission. It's rooted in the principles of black liberation theology. Yes. Wait a minute. Somebody that's listening today may say black liberation theology. God has nothing to do with blackness. Speak to your audience. What is black liberation theology all about?
And to sum it up, I would just say that it's about really promoting black love and promoting being unapologetically black in the theological context, meaning that God is a God of the oppressed, and that the gospel itself is liberating. And so we have to apply that to our everyday lives being Black people, knowing that the word that we stand on is founded in our freedom and liberation, and not just from the bondage of sin, but the bondage of what we're experiencing from being a part of a white dominant society.
So let me ask you this. If you are championing Black liberation theology, the gospel of liberation, there's going to be people saying, if God is so good, then why are Black people doing so bad? If you haven't gotten that, you're going to get it, because I've been out here on the battlefield a long time, and I have to explain that sometimes. Have you got the question yet?
Yes.
All right.
But
what's your response?
It's all because he's still good and he's still great and amazing, but it's about the what we put, the works that we put in there. And a lot of justice organizations quote the term faith in action. It is really about putting our faith in God and then putting our actions behind it. I think that a lot of times in the justice work, because we've been so separating and saying this is the church and then this is the political work, and we haven't really fought to include the two. This is why we have a lot of the conditions that we currently have in our society. But the moment when the Black church is able to stand up and say that we're the power bases in our communities and we can come together to create the world that we want and to infuse our values into the communities, then we can really see the changes that we want. But God is still in the blessing business and he's still moving, but it's about us standing up together as a community and creating the world that we desire to live in.
All right. You mentioned something in the studio before we went on the show, and you said that your organization makes no apology, makes no bones about being African American. You say we are unapologetically Black.
Yes.
Talk to me.
So that goes back into saying that a lot of times when we're in our church setting, we are taught, and not only taught, but there's a lot of times you'll hear critiques when you say that it's now time for us to focus on us. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay for Black people to say that we love ourselves and that we're unapologetically Black, and we're for once going to put the scope on ourselves and really look to build us, to unite us, and to work on our own community so that we can stand in solidarity with others. So that it's okay to say that I'm Black, I'm proud of it, and I'm going to fight for my own community. But oftentimes when you say that, we're critiqued or made to feel as if we're excluding others, but other communities do it, to be blunt with it, the Latinos, they stick together and they build their communities, and I applaud that effort. But it's saying, how can we as Black people stand together, love each other, and know that we're, again, not trying to put a racial divide, but to say that we love ourselves and it's okay to be unapologetically Black.
What do you think about that football player, Colin? I can't
Colin
think.
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick. I always say Kaepernick, but it's Kaepernick. What do you think about that? Let me just, before I have you respond to that, I want to personally say, even at my age, I'm old enough to be his father, but I understand the reality of his frustration, because Blacks, even though our foreparents were enslaved in this country, we've never received an apology from this country for being enslaved. But nevertheless, they want us to say how great the country is. Mm-hmm. To me, it would really, 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 really be great if they would have apologized for slavery and make some type of tangible, people hate the word, but I'll say it, reparations.
You know, I think that I would welcome the apology, but more so saying, what are you gonna do about it? Like, you know,
that's
that this took place, right? The reparations piece. That's what we need. Even in the support of other communities,
sure.
Our communities need the financial support. Not saying that we're not gonna do it within ourselves.
We got the callers are ringing off the hook.
Gotcha.
We hold that point. Caller, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling. All hands on deck. State your comment real quickly.
Yes, to your guess. Why you think black people do not stick together? Why do black people don't want to help other blacks? We are the only ones that don't help each other. But again, I think it's the time and society of what is going on now than it was per se back in the day. Because back in the day, we helped each other. I remember those days. Now they walk right over you. So what is the difference from now to then? Let me get off the air so I can hear your response.
Thank you so much. He wants to know what is the difference now? Why do we fight each other? The self-hate. What does that come from?
So I can't tell you about back then outside of what I read and what I've heard.
And that's good enough.
But I can say that I really believe that it's something that we've internalized. It's internalized oppression. I do say, I remember reading about different places. I love to talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they had the Black Wall Street, and where black people really pulled together to make things happen. But now, like I said, it's moments, situations where I've been in, to where if you talk about sticking with black people and being unapologetically black, I've immediately had to be on the defense. So I think a lot of it is about, we've almost been taught not to like ourselves or not to work with each other, and then to have this me, myself, and mine mentality.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
What do you think about? You ever heard of post-traumatic slave syndrome? You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Would you expound on it for our listeners and give me your opinion of it?
And
Well, basically, let me say it in case maybe I can give a better job, a real quick summary of it. Basically, that theory is that black people have been negatively impacted by the perpetual trauma that was put in us and our ancestors and been passed down through the years. And it's called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And we still reap the negative impact from that today. A lot of habits we have, they were rooted in slavery, and we passed them down. And that has hurt us tremendously, I believe. What's your thought?
yes, I agree. I'm not really well versed on it, but I know it's even like proven that there's some type of genetic alteration through like the the post-slavery syndrome. So like, no, it's very real on how we've been impacted. But it's like the cycle even continues, because first it was slavery in one way, and then it was Jim Crow, and now it's mass incarceration. So it's
wow, come on.
It continues.
You want to talk about that? You're talking about having a community that has its own political leadership, own economic stability, and own and being not locked in, incarcerated for centuries and things of that nature. Those are things that caught my eye when I read up on your organization. You want to put it in your own words?
So I guess more so about our mission around mass incarceration and violence. Is that correct?
Sure.
So a lot of what we're now addressing, and when we bring it back to like the Black liberation piece, is that our communities, we've had this narrative to be placed on us as if basically we're just like the bad black people, and that they have to figure out a way to fix us, versus looking at it as our mass incarceration and violence is a symptom of what has been constructed in our communities. Violence is a symptom of what our communities are experiencing, as far as being violence is a symptom of oppression. So one, we're trying to change the narrative to say, no, we're no longer going to allow people to name violence as it's our black kids that are just out of control, but we're going to really point the finger back and say, no, our environment was constructed to produce these actions. So one, like, yes, we do believe in accountability, but how do we change the fact that we lack resources in our communities, that we have a problem with employment, and we have a problem with our education system?
Very good, very good. One of the things what we've been trying to tell people is we do believe in accountability, but by the same token, when people get up in the morning, nobody makes up in their mind, I'm just violent. I just want to kill somebody. I just want to kill somebody in my neighborhood. Usually they're trying to solve an economic problem. Whenever you go to the jail, most people are in there trying to solve an economic problem. And desperate times calls for desperate measures. And that's not the way to handle it, but that's the way many people have done it. But we, as a pastor, this is not our first time being broke, but I tell you, there have been many times in our history where we've not had a lot of resources, but we turned to each other and not turned on each other. And so when we get back to self-love, what you're talking about, Ciera, you and your organization, things will be a whole lot better. We got another caller. Welcome to the show. Caller.
Hi.
State your comment real quickly.
I was calling to see what was the difference between the young ladies organization and other faith-based organizations that's out there commuting now.
Go ahead.
So one, our organization we're organizing Black churches, and two, there's a component that's really that's rooted in community development. So there's an arm of that to where our goal isn't to just address policy, but our goal is to really see what ways can we improve the community, whether it be through policy, whether it be through community development, job creation, low-income housing. And then Live Free Chicago is really rooted, again, and when we say this Black theology is rooted in the Word, so it's really rooted in faith.
Thank you so much. Listen, how do we get Blacks to support each other as it relates to businesses? We have a $1 trillion worth of buying power, yet we don't have any wealth. The money just comes in our community and right out of our community. They tell me that in the Hispanic community, the dollar circulates 7 times. In the Asian community, it circulates 9 times before it exits. And then in the European communities, infinite number of times before it exits. But in our community, the dollar circulates 0 to 1 time before it leaves. And it's because we don't support each other, we don't trust each other. What can we do? We know the factors behind it, but what can we do to kind of turn that tide?
So this
Does your organization deal with that?
Okay. This is the great thing about the church. We're our own businesses, basically, where you have a Black board, you have a Black CEO.
That's good.
So we have to look at that, like how can we capitalize off of that in our own community. I speak about, I sort of look at sometimes the model of the Resurrection Project. Now I know we wouldn't use this model to a T, but it's an example of how clergy came together. To put their money together, and they build their own community organization. So how can we replicate things like that in our communities? It's worked in other communities, but how can pastors pull together? How can the pastors and the communities, so this has to be a joint effort, how can we pull our money together, our efforts together to say that we're going to create our own jobs and we're going to create our own housing? Because like you said, we have the money to do it. It's just how are we organizing that money to do it?
You know, when Black businesses are strong, Black people are employed. When Black businesses are strong, you know, when there's a Black business, they have a tendency of employing more Black people. You know, when you look at MacArthur's on the west side, all of his employees are African American. I pastor a church. They've got 10 employees, 2 secretaries, 4 musicians, custodians, myself. I mean, everybody's African American. Listen, we out of time. We got to get you back because we didn't really get to all of the stuff we wanted to deal with. But you've been an incredible guest. Tell them about your website. Give them some quick information how they can catch up with you.
All right, so you can please go to Facebook and like us on Facebook to learn more information about us. Our website is under construction, but you can definitely go to livefreeusa.org and check out our national work or our affiliate organization. We also have an event that we're partnered with called Unleash. It's for Black businesses. It's March 21st to 22nd. If you register under Live Free, again, you can reach me at C. Walker at Live Free Chicago. Chicago.
And we out of time.
Okay.
She's trying to get it all in. It's been great, and we'll see you next week. Be there tomorrow at 9 a.m. to 12 in the afternoon at Greater St. John, 1256 North Waller Avenue. Get you a job. Get you some training. Get you some interview coaching. See you next week.